Another day, another gender war. I'm a firm believer that people should just date who they want to date. I don't understand why there's even any debate or discussion when someone, expresses what they want in a partner. There's a huge double standard with men and women and the standards that they set for dating, because I don't feel like it gets treated the same. I don't think it's fair that women don't get to set expectations for what they want in an ideal partner, but men can do it and is perfectly fine. There could be an argument made that the number of average women is decreasing. A lot of black women are getting degrees, getting multiple degrees. They are buying homes, they are starting businesses, they are succeeding more and achieving more than men at a way faster rate. Like, I think men are frustrated because they feel like they can't meet the standards and the expectations that all of these women, are setting for themselves. And a lot of women are frustrated because society is trying to make them lower their standards when men aren't expected to do the same thing. And I just think that, like, again, the gender wars are just becoming very, very tired at this point. If you are cool with where you are in life, be confident in that and find someone that aligns with that. We need to stop. We need to stop projecting. Okay? We need to stop projecting. Hey everyone, it's Brie. Welcome back to my channel. I'm back in another video, and we are here with another gender war. Another day, another gender war. So, the internet has been in flames about this whole interview that Ebony K. Williams did with Iyanla Vanzant. So, for those of y'all who don't know who Ebony K. Williams is, she is a lawyer. She is I want to say even a political commentator. She is a TV host. Basically, she is someone that, discusses a lot of social and political issues among the black community. And so, even with that being said, right, I don't exactly know how they even got to the topic, but essentially she had an interview with Iyanla. I'm sure everyone knows who that is. And they basically got on the topic of whether or not Ebony would date a bus driver. And this sparked so much debate online, which I don't quite get and understand why it became such a big thing, to the point where people were talking about it for a couple of days. And so I'm actually going to go ahead and play not only her initial clip that went viral, but then also the second clip, because I have separate thoughts on both clips. But I'm going to go ahead and play the clips for you guys.
That you've said that you cannot teach a man or tell a man how to be a man. So I will not ask you to indict men in this question. But I do want you to speak, Iyanla, to how women need to, position ourselves so that we can be in our divinity, so we can have our crowns right, how we can create and not build, when some of us, quite frankly, feel that the men that are available to us, and I'm talking about across the color spectrum, across the age spectrum, trust me, I've done them all, they are not positioned to protect nor provide because of some of the statistics we just talked about. They're not earning the incomes. They're not having the resources, and some of them are not even showing up in the leadership.
Would you date a bus driver? Would you date
if he owns the bus? If he owns it. If he owns the bus.
See, that's a problem. That's a problem. That's a problem. Okay. Because the standards and requisites, and I'm not talking about him laying on his sofa playing video games all day. I'm not talking about that. But the standards and the criteria that we use to measure men is off for who we are as women and who they are in this society. I would date a bus driver if he loved driving the bus, if he was a man of integrity, if he was good to his mama, if he treated me well, I would date a bus.
So out of the 50,000 plus comments posted on social, I only saw a handful that even considered the possibility of a bus owner being a more aspirational position, and recognizing that I am actually speaking and pouring into the ascension of black men when I said what I said. But see, no, some of y'all were too busy naming and shaming me personally and black women in general as undesirable, gold diggers, and much worse. Now, I suspect that some of y'all are the same men that were bringing home C's and D's on your report cards, only to then be coddled by parents that said, well, that's okay, as long as you're doing your best. Well, listen, I love and believe in the excellence of black men. So no, my dear, C's and D's or any other form of mediocrity is not okay. No, I will not create a soft place for you or anybody that I love to fall comfortably into the bigotry of low expectations. So I'm going to say one more time, there's absolutely nothing wrong with driving a bus. My mother Gloria drove one for years. But could it be that black America has been sold a narrative of average, regular, and typical being good enough for us? Well, see, that's called white supremacy. And in this case, it takes the form of conditioning black Americans to happily accept being a permanent American underclass. But see, because I know the truth about black folk in America, no, average is not and will never be good enough for me. And the gag is, I don't think it's good enough for you either.
So you guys just saw, what she said in regards to that. Now, I will say the first clip, I didn't see much wrong with it. I felt like in regards to the first clip, I felt like a lot of people were like unnecessarily triggered by what she said. Because it's like her saying that, she's not really too fond of dating someone that drives a bus. I don't understand why. I feel like people who were triggered by just that statement alone, it came from a place of insecurity, I would say, because she didn't, again, in the initial clip, I'm talking about the initial clip, she didn't talk down on anybody that drives a bus. She didn't, sit there and, pick them apart. She literally just said, like, okay, well, I mean, if he owns the bus, if he's like an owner of that bus company, I would maybe date him. And that's her right. I think everyone is right to their preferences. And I'm going to get into that a little bit later about just how there's a huge double standard with men and women and the standards that they set for dating, because I don't feel like it gets treated the same. I didn't see anything wrong with the first clip. I understood why it was controversial, and I understood why maybe some people would be salty, but at the end of the day, it's like Ebony can date who she wants to date, and that's just kind of, what I came to conclude with that first clip. Now, with the second clip, where she, kind of doubled down on it, and then kind of proceeded with the whole thing of like, oh, like them being average, them being mediocre, and all of that. I think that's where she lost people. And honestly, I think she probably could have kept that response, if I'm honest, because I think it really just made things worse. I think this would have died down way quicker if she didn't double down on it. But the fact that she doubled down on it and then went the extra mile to, bring up people who make B's and C's, on their report card, I think she started to kind of bring up other factors that shouldn't hold value to who a person is. Just because you're someone that made C's and B's, or B's and C's in school, doesn't mean that you are average or that you're, not living up to your best self. I think that's where she lost people, because there's plenty of people who, didn't get straight A's in school. There's people who, didn't necessarily get a degree, and they're still thriving, and they're still, doing what they're passionate about, and they're still successful. And like everyone has different paths in life, and just because you weren't a straight A student doesn't mean that you are average and mediocre. And I understand the core of what she was saying in terms of, her just overall wanting black men to set themselves at a higher standard, because that's a way deeper topic that, we could go into about just how, the data that's out there shows that, yeah, a lot of black men, they aren't really living up to their full potential, and they're kind of choosing to, at the very least, thrive in what they want to do, even if that is like an average job or making an average salary. A lot of men aren't even striving for that, even though they have the capabilities and the potential to. Now, with that being said, I agree with the sentiment that not everyone wants to make six figures. Not everyone wants to live a life of, luxury and having a lot of wealth. There are some people that are comfortable. They even just have a goal of living comfortably. They don't have a goal of, having an expensive car or owning a mansion. Like, they just want a nice two-story home, and be able to just live comfortably. And I don't see anything wrong with that. I don't think those people should be labeled as mediocre and complacent, and because again, like, everyone has different goals and different standards for themselves. I think as long as you're actively working towards that and you're happy with where you are in life, I think that's all that should matter. But also on the flip side, if Ebony wants someone that, does more, she wants someone that has an entrepreneurial mindset, I don't see anything wrong with that either. Now, I kind of want to get into these double standards, right? Because again, I'm a firm believer that people should just date who they want to date. I don't understand why there's even any debate or discussion when someone, expresses what they want in a partner. I don't understand why people feel the need to try to debate people on what it is that they want. And I feel like this mainly happens to women, right? And I'm not saying it doesn't happen to men, but it doesn't come across my timeline. I just feel like when it comes to women setting standards for themselves, I feel like we get a lot of pushback. I feel like men can sit up here and say they want a girl with big boobs and a big butt. They want a girl who has blonde hair and blue eyes. Like, they literally could, sit there and list all these physical features that they want in a woman, and it's perfectly fine. But let a woman do the same thing. Let them say, like, oh, I want a man that's 6'5". I want a man that's dark skinned, or I want a man that makes a 6-figure, 7-figure income. And now all of a sudden we get thrown all these derogatory terms. We get told that we're shooting for the skies. We need to lower our standards, lower our expectations. And I think that that's not fair. I don't think it's fair that women don't get to set expectations for what they want in an ideal partner, but men can do it, and is perfectly fine. And even I struggle with this because I've reached a point where there's just certain things I'm not going to waver on when it comes to dating. And one of those things is being physically attracted to my partner. My last partner, which was my only partner, I was very physically attracted to him. And having that experience, I'm like, okay, I can't see myself, going backwards and dating someone that I'm not attracted to. And so I made it a point to set that standard of, like, okay, they have to at least be physically attractive to me, because I'm not, like, if I'm going to continue to date, it needs to be, either what I had or better, right? And so I'm obviously not going to date somebody that I don't find physically attractive, which is something that I did, if you want to count middle school, and then kind of high school, even though I didn't really date in high school, but I guess there were guys that I entertained in high school, and literally none of them were attractive. I forced myself to be attracted to them because I wasn't getting a lot of male attention. And so whenever any guy would express any interest in me, I'm like, well, okay, I'm going to try to view them in this way just so I can have a chance. But I've reached a point where I'm like, you know what? No, if I am not physically attracted to the guy, then, I won't entertain it. Because to me, that's a waste of time. Why would I go on a date or entertain somebody with the intent of dating them if I'm not physically attracted to them? But even that, because to me, that doesn't sound crazy, but you'll have people that'll say, like, like, for instance, if you have someone that'll, present a guy to me, and I'll say, yeah, okay, like, they seem cool or whatever, but I'm not physically attracted to them. The first thing that people will say is, well, why? And, oh, you're being picky. Like, oh, he doesn't look that bad. And it's like, okay, but he doesn't look good to me. If he looks good to you, great. But if he doesn't look good to me, then I'm not going to force myself to talk to him. Like, it's just weird how people will try to, make you change what you want. And again, I feel like it only really happens to women. And so, with all of these debates, right, I like to try to look at it from both sides. And so obviously a lot of men were triggered and frustrated by this, and it's easy to say that a lot of them got triggered by this because of their own insecurities, which I do agree with. However, in trying to look at their side, right, I feel like a lot of men got triggered because it brought up this conversation of, average men, right? And what that looks like. And, people will often say that, you need to date people that you are equally yoked with. You need to date people who, match your level, right? And you have this whole idea that, average people should date average people, right? And from what I have seen online, so men who, I guess, acknowledge and claim the fact that they are average, they feel as though that they can't even get average women and women that are on their level. Their argument is that a lot of average women won't entertain average men. A lot of the average women, and again, I put that in quotations because everyone's definition of average is different, and average could be seen as negative. I'm just looking at it from like a general perspective. A lot of the average women who make average salaries or whatever the case may be, the type of men that they want and that they're going after are above their level, so to speak. Like, you'll have women who make 50K a year wanting a man who makes 150K a year, right? And so a lot of men are feeling, kind of at a loss because they're just like, okay, well, I understand like dating within my, I guess, financial bracket, or dating women that are on the same, level as me, but even those women don't want me. And so it's like, I can understand the frustration from that perspective. But also, because there's another angle to this, there could be an argument made that the number of average women is decreasing. And I don't know the stats for every single ethnic group, but I've, read a lot of articles and I've watched a lot of videos on this about how, even in my job, like I've done, research with like, entrepreneurship and stuff like that. And a lot of black women in particular, they're leveling up, and they overall have higher standards than a lot of men. Black women, and again, this isn't an opinion, this is all data, you literally can look it up. A lot of black women are getting degrees, getting multiple degrees. They are buying homes, they are starting businesses, they are succeeding more and achieving more than men at a way faster rate. And so there could be an argument to be made that there isn't that much availability when it comes to the average woman, because the average, at least the average black woman, has succeeded so much in life already that it is kind of making a lot of these men go, well, man, I don't even have a chance unless I try to, meet these women where they're at, because, again, we're getting multiple degrees, starting multiple businesses. And so, by default, a lot of women are kind of outperforming men in a lot of areas. And I think the point that Ebony was trying to make in her double down, but she didn't make in her initial statement, was that she just wants the black community overall to set themselves up at a higher level and have higher standards for themselves. And she's noticed a decline in black men pursuing degrees and just pursuing opportunities, and she just wants more of those type of men to be available to her and other black women. And I understand that, completely understand that perspective. Like I said, I see all sides from this. I see the men's side, the women's side, the average people side, the non-average people side. Like, I get it on all fronts. Like, I think men are frustrated because they feel like they can't meet the standards and the expectations that all of these women, are setting for themselves. And a lot of women are frustrated because society is trying to make them lower their standards when men aren't expected to do the same thing. And I just think that, like, again, the gender wars are just becoming very, very tired at this point. I really think people should just do what's best for them. But we keep having all these debates about, what people should want and not want, and, high value this, high value that. The fact that people got so upset over this bus driver comment is just nuts to me. Because, like, again, who cares if Ebony dates a bus driver or not? Like, how does that affect you personally? But again, I think this whole conversation was a trigger for a lot of people. Like, everyone was just triggered. The men who have been struggling to find someone, they got triggered. Women who have also been struggling to find a man that is up to their standards, they got triggered. And I think it's just really, really unfortunate where society is, not even just society, I mean, black people, the black community, I think it's a shame where we are right now when it comes to dating and us just attacking each other on all fronts, on every single topic. Now, what do I think in regards to this topic? Here's the thing. So for me, right, when it comes to dating, which that in itself is a complicated thing, I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of checked out at this point. I know some of y'all seen my video where I talked about, how I felt like I was giving up on love, and I'm trying not to. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of checked out. I don't care anymore. Like, it went from, me wanting a relationship and me wanting to find someone that was something that I really wanted for a long time. It was a goal of mine. It was something that I really, really desired. And I don't know if I feel that way anymore. Like, I'm just kind of tired and burnt out, because it's just that whole thing of, like, wanting to feel wanted. I feel like after so long of feeling unwanted and rejected by people, I'm just like, you know what? I'm checked out. I'm checked out. I'm just gonna focus on me, focus on my career, and that's it. I'm not even going to worry or put forth any energy into trying to find somebody, because clearly I'm not meant to be with anybody right now. So I just need to accept that and move on. In regards to this topic, if I were to actively try to start dating again, and if I actually were to try to give love another chance, my preference is to date men like within my age range, and so I take that into account when it comes to the financials. Again, I know a lot of women nowadays are saying that they want a man that can provide for them financially, can take care of all of the bills and X, Y, and Z, right? But for me, because I like to date men that are within my age range, so early 20s, I take that into account, and so I don't necessarily expect a man in their early 20s to have a six-figure salary or to be the CEO of a company. And just as an example, in my previous relationship, me and my last partner, we dated in college, when I was in college, and we were both broke. We were broke college students trying to date. And so obviously there wasn't that financial expectation there. And so yeah, there were times where we would split the bill on a date. There were times where he would pay for the food and I would pay for gas. But I didn't look at him as any less. I didn't value him any less as a partner, because it's like, well, we're both in college and we're both broke. So it's like, yeah, of course we're going to be, splitting the bill. Like, if we actually want to go out, to these places and actually have fun together, we're going to have to both contribute financially, because, I'm not expecting him to have a bunch of money, and, I didn't have that much money either. And so, there's that. However, would I do that now that I'm out of college? Would I go on a date with the guy that I had to split the bill with? More than likely, no. More than likely, no. But again, it depends on the situation. But that was actually another point too that I saw a few women bring up, is how, because I've seen the argument as well that a lot of black women, they tried that approach of dating a man who was not as financially well off as they were. I've seen a lot of women talk about how, they tried to do that. They tried to date men that, were in a lesser tax bracket, had jobs that, didn't pay as much as, what they were doing. And it didn't work out because a lot of men, whether they're willing to admit it or not, it does take a toll on their ego when, their woman is making more money than them and is doing better than them. And it can be kind of like a miserable experience for both the man but also the woman, because the man will tend to project that onto the woman because he's not where she's at. And he's like, becomes a little envious of how much money she's making, and it takes a toll on their relationship, to where I've seen people talk about how dating a broke man is a miserable experience because he's miserable. He's miserable with himself. And again, this doesn't apply to all. I feel like I should have to say that, but it doesn't apply to all people. But it does happen a lot. And I can say that, I can kind of attest to that as well, where it's like if a man doesn't feel like he's doing enough for himself and his partner, he's gonna not be his best self in that relationship, and that can cause him to be miserable in that relationship. So most women just don't want to deal with that, because a lot of men who are in that place, like men who feel insecure about where they are in life, and they feel insecure about not being where their woman is at, a lot of men will take that out on the woman and take that out on the relationship. And I understand why women are like, listen, I need to date a man who is at my level or above my level, so I don't have to deal with, that level of insecurity. And so again, I think it all boils down to like, just do what's best for you. I don't think either way is, wrong or right. Like, I think you should just do what's best for you. But I also understand why on both ends, why a lot of people were triggered by this. But listen, y'all, if this happens again, like if there's like another celebrity comes out and, because I feel like this is similar to like the whole B. Simone thing. When B. Simone said she wouldn't date a guy who works a 9 to 5, here comes everybody out the woodworks talking about, oh, what's wrong with the 9 to 5? People who make 9 to 5s get good benefits and they make all this money. It's just like, we need to stop. We need to stop projecting. Okay, we need to stop projecting. If you are cool with where you are in life, be confident in that and find someone that aligns with that. Find someone that is comfortable with that. I know the internet can make it seem like there's just no hope. And again, I've fallen victim to this where I'm like, dang, it really seems like I don't have any hope out here. But there are people out there that is willing to, accept your lifestyle, accept you for you, regardless of whatever your occupation is. I'm sure there are people out there who, are comfortable with that, are okay with that, and you just have to find those people. And that's it. And if you come across somebody that doesn't respect you in your line of work, then they just aren't for you. You just got to move on. There's no need to bash them and tear them down. Let them find who they want to be with, and then you continue to find who you want to be with. But yeah, man, I'm really hoping these gender wars stop, because I'm getting tired. I'm sure a lot of y'all are getting tired. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below on this whole situation. Let me know if you were on Ebony's side, if you understood what she was saying, or if you could just completely disagree with her. Let me know in the comments down below if you guys agree with anything I said. Let me know in the comments down below. And also, let me know if, would you date a bus driver? Let me know in the comments down below. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you guys go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And I will see you guys in the next video. Why you so obsessed with me, boy?